the worse it is. And I think he has stepped up to the plate again, trading rooks and basically forcing the bishop trade him on, because I don't think Wesley can afford to drop another pawn. And you're not trapping the bishop there. You don't have the machinery to actually win the bishop if you play b6.
And look, it's not the pawn structure he might want with the f pawn ending up on e3 here, but I think getting rid of the bishop pair and simplifying it to simply, I mean, look at this. It's rook against bishop. He's got a bishop and a pawn for the rook, but at the end of the day, like, this is just a conversion. And with everything that's at stake here, this is all in Jeffrey's hands right now.
It is, but the one thing I'd say, he has to open up another part of the board. He's not winning with just the f-file. Black's controlling all of the infiltration squares. So my question, Aman, is how is Jeffrey going to go about this? Is he going to go eventually c4, b4, and c5? The encouraging thing for him is that he's not even really in a hurry. He can take as long as he needs to set those pawns in motion, and he can milk a little bit of time off of Wesley's clock if he wants to do so.
Yeah, maybe I think at this point, I wouldn't even be focused on the clock. Like 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes is truly an eternity. It's more about the plan. And a5's been played, b6 has been played. Look, we can see how white can open things up. b3, a3, b4. I will say a lot of people rush with the move a3 before playing b3, and you just don't want to deal with black playing pawn to a4. Then you can't get pawns rolling. So great technique so far. But again, what else can you do if you're Wesley except put every pawn on the opposite color of your bishop, right? And he's doing the best he can. Yeah,
he's doing the best he can, and you buckle in and enjoy the ride. And for Jeffrey, he's got to make sure of two things. First of all, that he keeps enough pawns on the board. You don't want to trade everything, because then you're going to not have any pawns left. The second question, which I don't know the answer to, is does he want to play g5 and exchange a pair of pawns, which is bad, but the good thing would be that he has a pawn in a dark square, and Wesley's trying to make him regret it. Wesley's trying to... Oh, and he made him regret it.
Look at this. Bishop rook
g6.
f5, bishop e6.
No, bishop g6. Oh my god, he can't take because the rook is trapped. Oh, this is a huge moment. And now he's got Jeffrey's pawn fixed on a light square, which is a huge problem.
Yeah, that's why the eval bar said, wait a minute, this is not what you thought it was.
And that's the answer to the question I posed, Aman. Yes, he should have gone g5, because now, okay, the h-file is open, which is good, but he's got big problems with this pawn.
Yeah, and guess what? The king is going to go to d8, c8, b7.
Oh, man.
Jeffrey is now wondering, how the heck am I going to win this game?
And he might have to try to win it on the clock. I know that sounds crazy, but he might have to try to make 150 moves here. Move his rook,
literally.
Delay the pawn trades. Don't allow it to get to a 50. Don't get rook versus bishop, because Wesley's going to make 50 moves in 5 minutes. But just keep moving and be vigilant and expect and hope for a blunder. But this is now objectively totally drawn. Wesley has a fortress.
Yeah, this is not just totally drawn, but like it seems easy for black to make moves. Nothing to worry about either. You go bishop, I don't know, g2, and just shuffle on that diagonal, basically.
Jeffrey will have to play c5 at some point. My recommended approach is to milk as much as you can. Try to go up on the clock. He's down on the clock right now. And then play c5 when you're getting close to the 50 move rule. But even that's easier said than done, because Wesley's not staying totally passive.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you stay on dark squares, king d2, rook h6, king c3. If you pre-move a bunch of these kind of moves, yeah, you can probably get some decent amount of time off the clock. But I wonder if it's really possible to run 4.5 minutes down.
No, I don't think it is. I think if Wesley had 2 minutes, the answer could be yes. But let's not forget, again, Wesley is up 40 seconds on the clock. So if somebody is going to play the clock, it actually could be Wesley. I don't see a single idea for Jeffrey here. He can't make his way past the 4th rank with his king. He can't make a single threat. And Wesley's just moving his bishop back and forth.
For sure. But I think you can and you must. With what's at stake here, you have to start thinking game, like match strategy. You have to make a lot of moves and then make one pawn move and then make a lot more.
And then make a pawn move. But doing that takes time investment. Jeffrey has to be careful not to blunder his c pawn or he's going to be losing. And choosing the right moment for c5 is a hard task, and you might not even be able to play c5 as long as Black's king remains on c6. I think you're going to have to play it anyway. And I think we're going to see c5 very shortly. I don't think Jeffrey is going to make 50 moves here. There's also the fear of a 3-time repetition.
Yeah, I think bringing the rook to h4 comes to mind, just to try to guard the pawn laterally, and then you have a bit more freedom to move your king. And I think if we see a pawn move, it's probably going to be b5.
Wow. And rook a8. Jeffrey continues the ring around the rosy with his rook.
Mm-hmm.
But Aman, if you go b5, then you're never going to be able to push another pawn.
That's right.
There was a quick mate threat there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jeffrey accelerating his pace. But he's still done 50 seconds.
It's a lot of time to make up. Wesley he's a quick player. It's not like he's a guy that needs any acquainting with a time scramble situation.
No, totally. Wesley, people don't realize Wesley's a great bullet player. He can handle himself with the best of them. And he's not just going to say, let me sit there for 45 seconds. He's playing it basically instantly himself. Mm-hmm. And now he's up a minute. No, this is, barring a miracle, I think Wesley's going to Toronto.
It looks more and more like that right now. And I think very, very soon, I haven't been keeping track. It'd be interesting if we could get a counter for how many moves it's been. He might be close to a 3-time repetition, by the way. This king on c3, I saw a lot earlier. I think he needs to watch out.
Dude, he's very close to a 50 move roll. I think this is move 44. I think Jeffrey will have to play c5 or b5, like right now. And there it is. And there it is. No, but he's still down a minute.
He might have checked, by the way. Jeff is I feel like Jeffrey really did check the move counter, because that was so close to 50, it seemed intentional.
Indeed. But that comes at the cost of a couple more seconds. If the time situation was flipped, if Wesley was the one with 2:05, this would be a 50-50 game. With Wesley at 3 minutes and still up a minute on the clock, his position is almost easier to play than Jeffrey's, because he's literally just shuffling his bishop back and forth.
Yeah, and Jeffrey needs more actual pre-moves like this. Because of the dark square complex, I think he really can play a little bit more loose with the pre-moves.
He can. And Wesley, he's got to look out for a blunder. Maybe Wesley mouse slips. Everything is possible, Aman. We've commentated for so long. We've seen absolutely everything.
We have,
But if Wesley wanted to force a rook versus bishop position, he could play d5, d4. He doesn't want to do that because he has no reason to give up his pawns. No, this is this is dead. He's not going to give up his last pawn.
Yeah, and I just don't. Now there's no more pawn moves, right? So now it's a true 50 moves.
Okay, but king d4, trying to get to this pawn.
I think you don't try to hang on to the pawn personally.
Really?
I don't know.
I think you do. But I think you can't. Oh, Wesley's going to lose that pawn.
Yeah, I just feel like in these situations where your job is to...
Ooh, e3 though. No, he's not. That's it. Pawn getting to e2, and you're going to anchor it with the bishop from h5. It's over.
Yeah, that's too far down the board.
It's too... Oh, and he pre-moved it.
Bishop c2, even if you want. But actually, king there is... Yeah,
it's official. You're literally just going king f2, and Jeffrey can only passively spectate as Black moves back and forth. He takes on e2. 131 moves is what it took for Wesley So to make it to Toronto on the heels of an unbelievable defensive effort, Aman.
Amazing, yeah. That position, it can't be understated how well Wesley had to defend that, to even spot that g5 idea, fixing a pawn on the light square, and then to have the speed to keep up with Jeffrey and understand the assignment. Stay up on time and don't let yourself flag with no increment. So many things went right for Wesley defensively there. Jeffrey will be kicking himself for that g5 moment, Daniel.
Yeah, Wesley is just such an absolute monster. And that is indeed our brave moment, a brave move of the day. It's time to make your move from Chrome to Brave. Remember to go to brave.com. We thank Brave for sponsoring the CGC. Let's get to the Brave moment and move of the day. It's this one. It can't be anything else, because this is where Wesley So booked his ticket to Toronto. And this is where Jeffrey forfeited that opportunity. He had to play G5 and fix the pawn on a dark square, Aman, because once you don't do that, you're giving Black a chance to liquidate all of the pawns. But what Jeffrey really missed was the incredible Bishop G6.
Yeah, that's true. This move sealed it, because if you take on G5 here, it looks so innocuous, but you take on G5 and your rook actually gets trapped with the incredible king to F6. To spot this idea defensively, it's so underrated. Like, defensive moves are tactics on their own. I consider the move G5 to be a tactic of sorts. And it was spotted by Wesley and missed by Jeffrey. And you saw the eval bar, Dania. It jumped all the way back to zeros when the move G5 was played. And of course, if you end up playing this, it jumps even lower because it's winning for Black.
It is literally winning. You have to give your rook up. The pawn ending is lost. And after that, Jeffrey had no choice but to give up the G-pawn. The king side is liquidated, and on the queen side, Black has a complete fortress. Nerves of steel from Wesley to finish it off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was our brave move of the day. G5 and Bishop G6. We're not going to assign a winner. The two moves of the day, as Wesley So carries the match and joins Levon Aronian for the first 2 tickets of the 8 who are going to Toronto. And Aman, we're looking at the brackets.
We know that Wesley and we know that Aronian are going to be joining us in Toronto for that final 8. However, there are so many other matchups that you guys need to keep your eyes on. Of course, we look at the right side of the bracket. We see, top-seeded Giri looking at his match against Pankratov, who is there for